Hello, hello, hello. Now I've transformed from fixing my hair to fixing what's going on with my straps there. There you go. Fixing my straps. I'm a bit casual today. Sorry about that. Um, but I wanted to come on and share some juicy nuggets. Put my light up about LinkedIn and what I've learned about LinkedIn since how long have I been on LinkedIn? 2008. 2008. So, as I go through this presentation, my voice is wavering, but as I go through this presentation, and yeah, presentation of sorts, if you want to ask questions, do type your questions in the box below. Now, depending on where you're viewing this, two places you'll be viewing this. You'll either be viewing this on LinkedIn, on Facebook. You'll be one of the Vibers in the Visibility Vibes tribe, or you will be looking from YouTube. So, just to make sure you can hear me, you can feel me, and you can see me, just type in the box if you would, um, that you can hear me. Just say, yeah. Let me know where in the world you're watching from. Let me know if you've just eaten your dinner, which I have just done. Note to speakers out there, don't eat anything with dairy in it before you give a talk because it does this to your voice. But I'll recover it. Don't you worry. I'm a true professional. So just before I get started, I am just going to go in and let's have a look. Let's have a look. Yes. I'm going to go in and make sure that I'm streaming. Yes, I'm streaming. I can see I'm streaming. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, it's interesting because one of our viewers has mentioned that they have got ropey internet. Excellent Facebook user. So this is what happens. If you're asking questions and stuff as you go through, I'll do something like this, and you can see you're anonymous. But I try not to do that unless I know that you're happy for me to share. So you can hear me. Yay! You're from Bristol. Yay! Double yay. I spent a lot of time in Bristol over many years with a very, very dear person called John Seymour. Who I learnt my neuro-linguistic programming from. What was I going to say? Yes, and you wolfed your dinner down, as did I. As did I. I cooked tonight, and I was a bit late to the party. But anyway, we take a sip of water, and we'll begin. So, how and why did this come about? Originally, I wanted to share this just with the Vibers. Anyone who is referred to as a Viber, maybe you've been on my email list, maybe you have been part of my Facebook group or our Facebook group. Thank you. I can see, oh, look, you can hear me loud and clear. You're coming in from all over, which is great. And I wanted to share this because I had an interaction with one of my Vibers, although I didn't realize it was one of my Vibers at the time, where they were sharing some really great stuff on LinkedIn. And it came through in a really strange way. Now, I'm going to share my top 10 learnings. And this was hard putting this together because there's so many learnings that I've had from LinkedIn over the years. I've even prepared a little something for you to look at as well so that you can go back to any pieces that are relevant. But I wanted to put this together originally just for my Vibers, as in stream like this into the Visibility Vibes Tribe Facebook group. And then I thought, let me just also stream it to my YouTube channel because I know of many people now who aren't on Facebook anymore or prefer not to go on there, but at least they can get access from my YouTube channel. So my request to you all is I've got nothing to sell to you today. Of course, if you ever want to talk about working with me, I'm always open to that. And you can do that. I'll get this out the way up front. So you're not waiting to be kind of pounced on. If you want to do that, you can either go to my website, which is Jenny Kovacs, as it's spelt there, .com, or you can type thequeenofbeingseen.com and you'll land on a page which will enable you to actually schedule a call to talk about working together. My kind request is please don't use that to schedule sales calls with me. If I want and need your products and services, I will reach out. I've been doing this for 12 and a half years now, and I do reach out. So it's only happened like 3 times in the time I've had it. But yeah, please don't do that. And more importantly, please don't do that to anybody else. Even if you are on LinkedIn and you're active on LinkedIn, got a big audience on LinkedIn. The next thing that I would say is many of you might be like, "Oh, Jenny, is she really the person that she's on screen? I'd like to have a chat with her," and all of those sorts of things. Again, because I don't have many of those slots, you can chat to me, by interacting with me online on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook, and all of those places. So I do like interactions, and I'm a really chatty soul. For many of you that have met me will know that. But that's my only request. And that's it. Everything else I put out there for you to see. I feel really lopsided and scruffy. Look at that. Anyway, don't let that put you off. So I have prepared some slides. I say slides. 10 things I've learned about LinkedIn. And the reason I've done this is because as I prepared it, I realized that so many more of you are likely going to want to, you know, find out kind of more about LinkedIn and things like that. And I'll give you some resources while I'm here. So if you're watching this and you've never ever heard of me before, I'm the visibility specialist known as the Queen of Being Seen. I'm referred to as a visibility queen, and other things that I probably won't mention or shouldn't mention on here. But ultimately, the reason that I do this work isn't about me being visible. It's about you being visible, you being seen, you being heard, you being unapologetically noticed by the people that you want to be noticed by. So I forgot to say, another Facebook user from Worthing. So I'm guessing there's a couple of people that I know from Worthing who they might be. Who are you? Who are you? Sorry. I'm supposed to be talking about LinkedIn and being so professional and suited and booted, but I've got lots of things to share. So I'm going to share them. So first things first, these are the top things I'm going to share. Spoiler alert. And feel free to kind of go back, listen on the replay. Make a note. If you hear something you like the sound of, make a note of the kind of how far in we are as we go. I think wherever you're watching, you'll be able to see how long it's been running for. Like, write a note so you can skip forward and backwards and don't have to listen to me all over again just for one thing. Top tip I've learned. If you're listening on YouTube, I do speak quite quickly. I apologize for that. There's reasons behind it. But what I do want you to know is you can actually listen and change the speed on YouTube. You can speed it up. So I'll be talking to you like this really, really quickly, if that floats your boat. One of the things that I really want to tell you about, this work comes from my 5 key pillars. What on earth is going on with that there? Okay, comes from my 5 key pillars. Oh, one of the slides has disappeared. That's interesting. Well, I'll tell you about it anyway. Here's what I want you to bear in mind. Like, think that you're wearing a lens of something. Wherever you are in your LinkedIn journey, whether you're looking at it and going, "Oh my gosh, I don't know how to use it. Oh my gosh, I am an employed professional. I'm not self-employed. That's okay. Oh, I've been using it for years, Jenny. Hopefully you're going to give me some juice." What I'm going to do is I'm going to nip through the top 10 things that I've learned about being on LinkedIn, but I'll also invite questions. So if you've got questions at any time, please do type them into the chat box and I'll be able to answer them for you live. Okay. And then that way you'll be able to go back and, feast on the nuggets, feast on the juicy nuggets. So more than happy for you to do that. The thing that I will say, and the lens to look at this from, I'm a visibility specialist. I'm not a LinkedIn specialist, although I do know how to use LinkedIn really well for more visibility. As a visibility specialist, there are 3 things, regardless of the platform or the place that you're sharing, that you need to know. Thing number 1, which is the slide that's missing, everything is as easy as ABC. I've just had a really good thought, actually. I know it's a slide that I've used before, so I'm going to add it to the stream. How clever am I? If you are in-person networking, you're at a chamber of commerce, you're at a BNI, you're at a conference, you're online on Instagram, on Pinterest, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, um, on TikTok, although I'm not officially on TikTok yet. I'm on there, but I don't use it. Wherever you are, these three things are key to being visible. Now you'll see that there's an A, a B, and a C. Now here's why this is also important. The V in the middle is like your visibility sweet spot. This is why I do this work, to help you and show you how to be highly visible. But the three things to bear in mind are always your A, which is your audience. Who are they? I personally don't encourage people to have just one tiny micro niche unless their work is formed in that way. What I know about the people I work with is that they are polymaths. They have lots of different strings to their bow. My job when I work with them is to help them thread it all together so that they can use these tools, whatever they're doing. And one of my lovely clients who feels like a friend now, their story was that when they worked with me on a specific business. Now, this is what I love about this work. I hear from lots of my clients years down the line sometimes that the work still keeps on giving, even if they've completely changed industries, if they've pivoted, if they've evolved, if they're using it for something slightly differently. So, with this particular client, they worked with me to use it for one type of business. They have another type of business, which is a different industry, a different sector, a whole different thing. These tools, they're like the underpinning that help you to be visible. They will still work. I want you to remember that. So your A is about your audience or audiences. Who are they exactly? Your B is the business model that you want to run. You might be a online person. You never want to set foot from behind your computer, and that's okay. You might be like me, Miss Gobby Almighty, who really likes going out and speaking to people, meeting people and hugging people in the flesh. But I do a lot of stuff online as well, and each helps each piece. I work with business owners. I work with big corporate brands. I have multiple audiences, but my business model, I'm very clear on what I want to do and what I don't want to do. And I recommend that for you too. And then finally, C, people always think is a client. No, 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 no. It's your credibility. It's the things that have you believable. It's the things that have people know that you know what you're talking about and what you do. And it isn't about reeling off a list of qualifications, MBAs, and all of that kind of stuff. In fact, it's not even about hanging your cart on someone else's horse. It's always and always, always will be about you demonstrating why you're the person to listen to on the subjects that you speak about, share about, sing about, make about, whatever it is that you do. These are the underpinning factors. I could like have a whole day workshop, 3-day workshop on this alone because of the pieces that come under it. But as long as you remember your A, your B, and your C, your audience, your business, and the credibility. If one of those speaks to you more than the other, can you type in the box A, B, or C? Or if you're like my high achievers and there's other things that you want to talk about, then by all means, talk about those and put B and a bit of A and a bit of B and a bit of C, whatever the thing is. I'm one of those people. Okay, so over the years, I've had so many learnings and insights from LinkedIn, just LinkedIn as a platform. So the first thing I normally get, and this is something that I learned, it took me a while. Most people that I work with, when I suggest LinkedIn or ask them whether they're on LinkedIn, it's the platform out of all platforms that I get the most resistance. The most resistance because people feel that they have to show up in a certain way. You can show up as a professional with your hair in a messy bun and your top that keeps hanging off your shoulder. It doesn't make you any less professional. The thing that I want you to remember and kind of, and I always go head, heart, and hands, and this is really a mindset thing, a way to think of something differently. Always remember that although it's deemed the most professional platform, it's filled with people. Yes, those people might be CEOs. Yes, those people might work in the post room. Yes, those people might be your target audience. Yes, those people might be women who need help in midlife. They might be people that need help with coaching. They might be people that need body work. They might be people who want their tarot cards read. I've worked with so many different industries across the board, from travel, financial services, personal development, business development, spiritual development. Remember that they are people that you're speaking to. Don't be kind of blasted away by this notion that you have to rock up and speak in a certain way and that your graphics have to look a certain way. Let that come in time. But remember, so that was my biggest learning. They're professionals, but it's filled with people. And those people will be intrigued by what you do. Not all of them, but many of them will be intrigued by what you do. So, tip number one, learning number one. Number two, always, always, always have a photo over a logo. Now, I could wax lyrical about this for a long time, but on LinkedIn, it's a professional platform that's filled with people. So the best way to really increase that know like trust factor really, really quickly is to have a photo of you. People spend, and I've seen this happen, Jenny, I'm going to come and work with you, but I'm going to wait till I get my logo done. Once my logo's done, then I'm going to get my website finished. And once my website's finished, then I'll be ready. I'll have you know that when I first joined LinkedIn, I had no website, no business cards. And I joined because I worked for a company. I was made redundant. I went to another company and LinkedIn was kind of ticking along in the background. But when I decided to make the jump from business owner into self-employed professional, I had no website. I had no business cards. But do you know, I landed one of the biggest contracts like in that time, in those early days, because I made sure that I came across as personal. I'm thinking now, how many of you here are business owners and how many of you are employed professionals? If you want to type in the notes, if you're watching back on the replay, just play along anyway. I'll see it at some point. But how many of you are employed professionals and how many of you are business owners? This will help me to make sure that I tailor this information for you and to you so that it makes sense. And I'm just looking down now. Just to make sure. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Let me know if you're a business owner or if you are an employed professional or if you do both, because then there's other things that I can talk about as well. Okay. Okay. So interestingly, there's somebody that I worked with at the back end of the pandemic. And what I found really interesting about their kind of mindset, they've been a very senior level within business. So what have we got? Business owner. Okay, excellent. They were very senior in business and they decided that they wanted to coach. They're an author, they're a coach, they're a poet, really cool poetry, and they liked writing plays, playwright. You know, I talked about people doing lots of different things and threading it all together. And I'd said, I'm doing this kind of masterclass tonight. Do you mind if I share with people permission to share the amazing things you do? Because I want you to know that however kind of off the rails you think the thing that you do is, however unusual you think it is, you can talk about it on LinkedIn. Okay. What I see people doing is they'll put a logo. They'll wait till all of this stuff's done and they'll put a logo. And what I learned through my own experiences and through those of many of my clients is if you have a picture, it's very personable. It humanizes you. This is part of your personal brand, which kind of visibility, sales, marketing, visibility is the glue to the personal brand, which increases your sales and your marketing. When you have a picture, it personalizes things for you, it humanizes you. When you have a logo, it just doesn't speak to people. And it's such a shame because people spend all of this time and money getting that all together and then using that. If you look at people like Richard Branson, Oprah, Gary Vaynerchuk, you look at some people in the kind of in the business realms as well. Some of the people who are CEOs, who sit on boards, who are part of some of the professional associations, all of them will use a photo of their face. So use a photo of your face. If you are particularly worried and you want to, and you like the photos that I've been using for this, that photo was actually done about a year ago now, and it was actually done remotely. So strange. I was out on the streets of London with internet connection with my stand and my phone, and the photographer was some, you know, I don't know, 70, 80 miles, maybe more than that away. And I would stand there in the street and she would be clicking away, turn around a bit, look up, look down, whatever else. And that's how they were done. So it doesn't have to be a great big fanfare. Just looking in the chat, some of you, business owner, A and C, in answer to the other questions. Brilliant. Business owner. Okay, I'll focus on the business owner side of it then. Okay, C, your headline can make a huge difference. Use it wisely. Oh my gosh, that was such a big lesson I learned. And I'll tell you where I learned that from, and how I learned how important it was in a moment. So for those of you that are LinkedIn users and you're thinking, headline, what are you talking about? When you go onto LinkedIn, now, if I'd been on Zoom, I'd be showing you a screenshot from my phone. When you go onto LinkedIn, you'll see somebody's name and then you'll see some writing underneath. That writing follows you around everywhere and is known as your headline. Now, we're not going for perfection, but we're just going to add something in there so that people at a glance know what you do. This means if one of your friends posts something or a person you admire posts something and you comment or like on it, when they hover over you, either on their phone or on the screen, they not only see your face now because you've moved your logo and you've decided that you're not going to not have a photo, they see your face, they see your name, and they see a little bit of what you do. That completely moves around with you. Now, there is, there's various different people out there that teach LinkedIn. I'm going to name two people that I know of personally, and people that I would definitely recommend. Conversely, they do things slightly differently. But when you have a good headline and it moves around with you, this is actually what makes you more visible to other people. So, if you are part of a band, put the name of your band in your headline. And that way, when you're commenting and things, people say, oh, they're in a band. Now, it's interesting because I know of somebody who's in a band. I can tell you that on LinkedIn, I am connected to Kim Mazel, the singer from the old days. If you don't know Kim, Kym Mazel, Google her. I am connected to her on LinkedIn. And when she, posts pictures or videos or footage about some of the gigs that she does, or that she's going to be on TV, or that she's going to be playing somewhere, even if she's playing in the States and I'm not there to see it, I get to know about it. I am, I'm an individual, I'm a human. So don't let what you do dictate, oh, well, I'm not going to use LinkedIn, because it will be just as useful. Okay. Number 4, don't do it alone. I did what I could for many years, and then I knew that I actually liked LinkedIn, but I knew that I wanted to have it like work for me a bit better than it was. So I followed the first person I came across that I liked, and not everybody would necessarily like them. As a lady called Helen, well, she was Helen Pritchard, now Helen Tudor. She did a 5-day challenge, and she used to do these lives in the evening called Lives with Wine. She can be colourful with her language and she can be direct, but she's really great at what she does. And the reason I liked her was that she cut out all of the noise of, you have to form a nice invitation to connect with people and all of that. She tells it, she tells it as it is. So I know that she's got another 5-day challenge coming up in May. So if that's something that's of interest to you, let me know in the Vibes Tribe group or underneath in YouTube, and I'll make sure that I kind of point you in the right direction for it. It's free, and it's very fast paced, but it will give you a good idea of your headline. She's got a really great formula for it. And then you can go on to do courses with her, which is what I chose to do. I chose to do and sign up in February 2020. And we all know what happened in March 2020. Now, at that point, 90% of my clients cancelled, postponed. We didn't know what was going on. And I honestly thought, this is it, time to close the business. What am I going to do? And I remember thinking, well, I've got a bit more time on my hands, let me just kind of dive into the course. And the true story of this was that I decided that I wanted to pay in installments, cash flow and all. And I started to dive in, and I got so much traction so quickly, even though people were locked down, that I ended up emailing her team and saying, I can pay in full. I mean, she did some other fantastic things behind the scenes for her clients. But I said, look, I can pay in full. Can you send me the invoice? And that's what I did, paid her in full. So was it worth it? Absolutely. Did I have to, donate a kidney or sell a kidney to do it? Absolutely not. I really like not going it alone because, people come to me and ask me for all sorts of things. My dime, my absolute zone of genius is in helping you to be visible, helping you to be seen in the way that you want to be seen. I'm not talking about being famous and being on TV and stuff like that, but some of my clients have ended up doing that as well. But having the people that you love working with, that you want to work with, knowing you and what you do. Okay. So don't do it alone. Now, this leads me on to something that I get asked a lot, and I hear a lot of other LinkedIn people get asked a lot. Is it worth being in a pod? Now, if you're thinking, what is that? That's where you post on LinkedIn and a group of you, predetermined group of you, decide, every time Jenny posts, we're all going to comment and like her stuff so that it goes up in the algorithms. I know it sounds like a good idea, but wait. A lot of people go, oh yeah, I'm in this pod and everything else, and it's really great. Whilst it might be great for bumping you up in the algorithms, and it might be great in some respects for visibility, it actually decreases your visibility. And here's why. When you, in your headline, say you help tired, stressed out mums, to stop spinning plates and balance everything out, and then you've got a predetermined group of 20 or 30 people who like and comment, they are not your ideal audience. They're not your ideal clients. So actually, it's for vanity purposes. You've got lots of likes and shares, but you're not actually getting new eyes on your business. This is really dangerous. If I had more time, I'd go into why I really disagree with them. Yet other, LinkedIn people will say, yeah, get a pod together. It doesn't serve you. I mean, I could leverage my audience across social media platforms, about 17,000 and counting, and say, please, like this and like that. I don't do that, but it's okay, because when you connect with the right people, there's lots of other stuff that LinkedIn does that no other platform does. You can see a little bit more about who your connections are, their titles, the companies that they work for, the size of the companies. And over time, and it could be as little as a month, over time, you get to see the consistencies and the same types of people that are looking. It helps you with who your ideal clients with an S are. It means that I'm not always throwing stuff out there and hoping that it sticks. I know that CEOs, business owners, founders, sales professionals, and people that train like my stuff. They've consistently done that for years. So I know more of who is looking at my stuff. Okay, so it's really, really important that you don't do pods and have people in the mix, because you'll never get to know like who really likes your stuff, who's engaged with your stuff. And even if they don't hit like or any kind of reaction, LinkedIn still records that they came to your site. So you still get to see. So for example, there was something I posted last week. I think 8 people liked it. And when I looked, it's gone well over 1,000 people have viewed it. I think it's about 1,700 now. And I can look and see the top 5 to top 10 job titles and know that it's on the right path. So just because somebody doesn't like something or comment on it doesn't mean that it's being ignored. Okay. I'll take another sip of water. So make sure, that you don't get into the whole, I need lots of likes, I need lots of shares. It doesn't mean that something is not being seen. Really, really important. And does that even make sense? If it does, say yes. If it doesn't, and you've got questions around that, by all means, type them into the box. Okay, so let's talk about being quietly visible. When you have a look at who's been viewing your stuff, it will tell you what their job titles were. They'll tell you what their locations are. It'll tell you the names of their companies. It'll tell you the industries. It will tell you, what have I put company? What have I put there? Company 6. I think that's a typo. It'll tell you the companies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, I've duplicated something, and now I'm trying to think. Job title, locations, companies, industry, and something else, which I'll look up or I'll remember. So job titles, as I said, it will say something like 10 people with training manager looked at your stuff, 6 people with CEO looked at your stuff. Locations, it will tell you where in the world. So it will say Bristol, England, Worthing, England. How does it know that? Because you've put that when you set up your profile. So if I said that I was based in can't speak tonight, Austin, Texas, and I'm looking at your stuff, it would say someone in Austin, Texas. So I now know the highest percentage of people look at my stuff are still based in London, which is funny because I'm in London. I get a lot of people from metropolitan New York area. I get a lot of people from Bristol, Birmingham. I'm trying to think of my other places. I have spates where I get a lot of Australians looking, and I think it's because there's someone that follows my work and I follow theirs, based in Australia. I've got other Australian connections, but I think when they look at it and comment, then other people within their networks look and comment. But you can get a worldwide audience. How cool is that? I've got worldwide clients and worldwide audience, and you will already have that too. Okay. So the other thing, industries and companies. So many people say to me, Jenny, I'd like to get my work in front of corporates, but I don't think they'll get it. If you keep doing this, every time you've posted and just check back on those pieces, if you keep seeing that KPMG, 3 people that work from KPMG saw your posts, it's likely that that will open a door for you to have a conversation with KPMG without having to put together fancy proposals and bids and things like that. You now know that you can approach that company because their employees or somebody that works for them has had interest in your work. It makes reaching out and connecting and working with corporate really great. And for my lovely singer and my people that are in a band, and my person that I know that's in a band, Christmas dues, company kickoffs, retirements. Do you know how many of these companies, event managers within the companies, hosts within the companies, are looking to get really great entertainment? Do you know how many of them are looking? Wouldn't it be great to be able to commission a band to come and sing and you get paid for it? So don't think that what you're doing doesn't count with corporates. It really doesn't. I'm waiting for something, for somebody to say, oh, I do this thing. I can't be visible because of this. For me to go, yeah, you're right. You can't. I say if you're like maybe a lady of the night and, your target audience are church groups, but that might not be a good fit. You might find that you struggle. But there'll be other people that might want to have a look at the things that you do. Okay. So finally, before I start taking questions from you, there's some things I want you to stop doing, because again, these are things that I've learned, not just myself, but clients that I've worked with. And some of them have been small to medium companies, some of them have been big well-known names. So the kind of bigger well-known names, although quite controversial at the moment, the Metropolitan Police, Face Gym, which has got a kind of American and British part to them, British Telecom, Boots, Mighty, those sorts of companies. And I've worked with mid-range companies as well, anything between kind of 10 employees to sometimes up to 30 or 40, 50 employees. They've worked in the events industry, they've worked in travel, and they've worked in retail, some of the hardest hit people within the pandemic and during the pandemic, yet we still got to work together. And then I've also worked with my one-man band businesses. I still love doing my authors, my coaches, my guides, all those sorts of people that freelance and put their work out, that don't have aspirations of being big and famous. They just want their work to land in front of their ideal clients, in front of their right people. So if you've got questions about that, get them ready, type them in the box, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. So stop sending your posts privately. Now, recently, I was talking to somebody about this, and I believe, well, here's what I do. When people try and pitch me privately that I don't know, I just ignore them. I was saying in a post in the group this morning, it doesn't make me feel comfortable. I don't like ignoring people because I feel like their voice matters. Even if I don't like the flavor or the taste of what it is they're sharing, their voice matters. So I'm going to come back on screen because it feels weird, me not speaking to you, being with you. Sorry, I've been running today and you can see that hefty bra strap keeps showing. Too much information, but there you go. So when you are, when you're sharing a post, you share your post as you would do on something like Facebook, and you leave it there. Don't send it to people. Don't tag in people just for the sake of it, because you do yourself a disservice. It stops you from showing LinkedIn, I'm here, I'm sharing this post. The first one or two posts, you might not find kind of much interaction, but keep at it, keep consistent, and you'll find that. And what you're doing is you're teaching the platform, I'm going to post this stuff, let's see who comes. When you send the post to somebody as a private message, first of all, for me, and it might be me being funny, but for many people, it feels a bit spammy. If you think that on LinkedIn, I have over 4,500 connections. If everybody did that every day, and sometimes it feels like they do, the private messages from different people, it becomes overwhelming. It could sit in my inbox. And it's really hard, I might go and have a look and think, right, I'll come back to that. So most times when you post any kind of content on LinkedIn and then send it to people, a lot of them will ignore it. The second reason is when it's sent to people like that, many people are still sending content without any context. So you just get a link to a post. Is am I mentioned in it? Is it something I feel passionate about? Is it sponsor me because you're running a marathon? It gives no context. So regardless of the platform you're using, never ever send people private messages without any context. And even so, tread carefully. What I want to do when I'm on LinkedIn, I want to interact with people publicly. And I say this a lot in my posts. I do post a lot, so I know it disappears down the track. But I want to interact with people publicly. The time that I take it privately, it's a bit like dating. You kind of looking to see, who do I like? Who do I like? Oh, I like them. I like them. I like them. I like them. And then you think, now I want to start talking to them. So then you start privately messaging. You both need to be mutually consensual to that. Otherwise, somebody feels a bit like, leave me alone. It's too much. And the saddest thing for me as a visibility specialist is that your work then gets ignored. And I never want you to have that feeling that what you're doing isn't important, or you're rubbish at what you're doing, or, marketing or anything else like that. So don't do that. The other thing that happens sometimes, and many people do this purposefully, and there are some people that teach it as a strategy, is that because they want to send it to 20 people, rather than sending it one at a time, they'll send it to a group of you. So the dear lady, who I'm not throwing anybody under any buses, the dear lady that I spoke to privately, I didn't ignore them in LinkedIn. I let them know what happened. The first time they'd posted a message, they'd somehow sent it to a group and created a group. So it's a bit like an email where I intend to send it to my friend and I end up sending it to 20 people at the same time with all of their things on there. So all I did was I assumed it's a mistake. I don't think this person would do this. And I left the group. So I didn't get any more messages. But what that actually does is it trains people, oh, you're one of those. And this particular lady is not one of those people. It's just a simple error. So that's why I didn't ignore. I went back and I explained. So when you're posting your content, post it publicly and allow people to go to it publicly. That's the whole point. Unless or someone else has commented underneath and said, oh, can you send me a link to this? I want to share it with somebody. Then I would recommend that you don't do it. It feels that it can be like we're forcing our content on people. And I like permission-based marketing where people get the right to go and, they go for the stuff that they want. That's what I teach. That's what I'll share all day long. Okay. Oops. I need to add that back to the stream. Oh, I wanted to say Quietly Visible. One of my lovely vibers who is doing great things in the world is a lady called Carol Stewart. If you go and connect with her on LinkedIn, she is a LinkedIn top voice and has been for many years. And it's interesting because she wrote a book called Quietly Visible. So, she's not extroverted, she's not loud, she doesn't go out there and shout everything, but she has managed over the years through, hard work and everything else that she's done to build herself a big audience, far bigger audience than I have. And Carol did that by herself. She didn't work with me or anything like that. She did that by herself. So that's a thing that I wanted to mention on there. Start sharing more often. If you feel like LinkedIn feels a bit weird and scary, just make a commitment that you'll share consistently once a week, twice a week, however many times. I share daily, Monday to Friday, and sometimes I share a number of times daily, Monday to Friday. Depends, I might dial it up, dial it down. It's been any time between once to 4 times. Now, that doesn't mean you all have to go out and start doing that. It's what works with my A, B, C and with what I'm doing. Okay. So make sure that you keep consistent. Some people will put 3 posts and then they'll stop. When I look at different people on LinkedIn, I can see when their activity, when they've posted. So some people will have posted 3 times in 1 week, and then before that haven't posted for 4 months, 6 months, a year or more. Whoever's looking at you can see that it's not a reason not to start, but it's a reason to decide how consistent you want to be and get consistent. And I learned that even if you're a 1 time a month poster, then that's your consistency. If you're looking to have people buy your products and services, you will need to post more than that. So I mentioned Helen Tudor, was Helen Pritchard, who's a LinkedIn trainer. The other person that I was very pleased to meet and actually interviewed me within her group is a lady called Shelley. So Shelley's surname has just eluded me. I'll tell you exactly what it is in a second. I'll cheat and search her through my phone. Contacts. Shelley Hutchinson. Shelley Hutchinson also teaches LinkedIn. And although I haven't kind of studied or worked with her version of LinkedIn, she does have connection messages and things like that. She is a very fiercely gentle character, so very different to Helen. So some people might say, oh, drinking, swearing, that's it, can't be doing with it. So they might go to somebody like Shelley, who's kind of demure and different, okay, and teaches different tactics as well. So have a look for them, maybe on LinkedIn, and follow them. Have a look and see if you like what they do. You might find somebody else that you like more on LinkedIn. There's lots of quite well-known LinkedIn trainers on Facebook, on LinkedIn and all over the place as well. Okay, so just going to check. Oh, yes. Number 10, decide. Continue to decide. Make good decisions on what you want to do. I always recommend that you make decisions based on your A, your B, your C, your audience, your business, and the credibility that you want to share. What you will find from many of the people that you connect with, they might not comment, they might not like your stuff, and then you'll either get an email, which has happened to me a number of times, a message through my website, or even a private message on LinkedIn saying, really want to work with you. In fact, I decided to up my writing game on LinkedIn. I didn't like the sound of a newsletter, but I created something called the Be Seen Bites. And the very first time I sent the Be Seen Bites out, which was September last year, I think, maybe October, I sent it out and I thought, let me just lay the table. So I wanted to let people know this is what to expect from me. And I just kind of like laid out a few ground rules, one of which is I don't do any isms. I won't tolerate any isms, whether it's around race, gender, sexuality, anything like that, religion. All are welcome in my world. That's really important to me. And because all are welcome in my world, if people start kind of bickering or making people feel uncomfortable, the person with the ism will be removed, not them. So I sent it out. Various people kind of liked it. Not a gazillion people. It didn't go viral. And then somebody sent me a message on LinkedIn and said, I've just booked a call to speak to you. I really need to work with you. And I didn't know who they were from Adam. I'd never seen them before. They'd never like commented on anything. They'd never liked anything. I even checked afterwards, nothing. That happens a lot more on LinkedIn than it does on any other platform. You'll get people reach out and just say, I saw what you posted, or I've seen how you've interacted, or I've seen what you've commented, and I want to work with you. And then during the pandemic, for some reason, I had people in my inbox on LinkedIn, but I also had people email me. I think I saw somewhere that you were offering this thing. And they would just find me and email me directly. Okay. I want that for you too. I think it's perfectly possible, perfectly doable. So that's it. So when you continue to decide, here's what I want you to continue to decide doing. Being visible. That's being visible, not be invisible. I want you to decide to be visible, to hold your vision for what you want, to really dig deeper into who your ideal audience is and are, to make it fit with your lifestyle and business, and to demonstrate your credibility, which doesn't mean that you have to say, look at me, I'm Kenny Jovax, and I have done this thing and this thing and this thing. That's not how you demonstrate your credibility. Whatever it is that you're sharing, you demonstrate your credibility by sharing more of how it helps people. And I go through a lot more of that in detail when I've kind of either sitting looking at the whites of someone's eyes or in a group or something like that, because I get to find out more about you and what you do. It's the reason, dear Vibers, that in the Vibes Tribe, I'm always saying, reintroduce yourself. Let me know what you do, because then I can make sure that what I share is helpful to you. But when you lurk or look around the corners or the scenes, I don't know what you do, so I can't tailor it for you. And that's the only chance you'll ever get to pick my brains with what I put out on my social media channels. Any other time, then we work together and we do the fair exchange. You pay and I provide a service which helps you to be more visible. I'll never ask you to go online and hashtag me or include me. So when you do say nice things about me online, when you do thank me for the work I do, it means so much more, so much more. So for that, I thank you. Now, I don't know if you have got any questions. If you do, please type them in the chat. I forgot to say at the beginning, you can see me, I can't see you. You can see me, I can't see you, and no one else can see you. But I would love it if you've got any questions. If not, I'll give you back your time and bid you good evening, because it's the evening here in the UK, and good afternoon from wherever you are. So let me just Let's just have a look. Okay, no questions it seems. So I'll give you your time back. I'll give you your time back. So the last question that I have got for all of you, and I'd love to hear it too, is what are you going to take away from this? What are you going to take away from this? What's your biggest takeaway from this session? There might be a few, there might be a couple of bits, but what can you take away from this? And I'm just going to say one more thing. I'd love to keep connected with you. So if you have a smartphone and you point it to the QR code on the screen in front of you, in fact, I don't know if I can make it any bigger. If you point it at the QR code on the screen in front of you, it will take you straight to my profile. Have a nosy, have a look at the sorts of things that I post, see if it inspires you, see if it makes you kind of excited about LinkedIn, or whether you think, oh no, LinkedIn's not my platform. And if it isn't, that's okay too. Okay. Thank you so much. You can watch the replays from wherever you're watching this. And for the Visibility Vibers, even though we're going to go on a spring break, you'll still be able to, the group will be archived, but you'll still be able to go and watch content, read posts and all of that kind of stuff. So if you want to make sure that your content is included for the spring break, I recommend that in the next 24 hours, you post something in there too. For those of you watching on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being with me. And I'm going to say good night and bye for now. But before I do that, what did you get most from that? That LinkedIn is suitable for all businesses. It really is. People think it's just for people in suits, but it really is for all types of businesses. Thank you so much. Bye for now.